Back in 2009, James Cameron didn't just release a movie. He unleashed a technological force of nature that completely reshaped Hollywood as we know it. You remember the first time you saw it, right? That feeling of being dropped into a world that felt more real than reality itself. The soaring jungles, the floating mountains, the glowing forests of Pandora. But the real magic wasn't just what you were seeing, it was the revolutionary technology that was invented just to make it possible. So how did a bare, gray soundstage filled with actors in funny-looking suits transform into a vibrant, living, breathing alien world? This is the story of how one director's relentless vision and his refusal to take impossible for an answer forever changed what we expect from a blockbuster movie. Our story starts not in the 2000s but way back in the mid-90s, fresh off the massive success of Titanic, a film that already pushed the limits of both practical and digital effects. James Cameron was already dreaming up his next big thing. In 1996, he wrote an 80-page script for a sci-fi epic called Avatar. It was a grand story set on a moon named Pandora, home to a race of giant, blue-skinned aliens called the Na'vi. There was just one tiny problem. The technology to actually make the movie didn't exist. Not even close. Cameron's vision demanded photorealistic alien characters who could express the entire range of human emotion. He needed to create an entire ecosystem from scratch that felt completely real to the audience. But in the 90s, CGI characters were still finding their feet. Putting a fully computer-generated character in a lead role was a huge risk, and the idea of perfectly translating an actor's subtle facial tics onto a digital face was pure science fiction. Cameron himself admitted that the tech needed a major upgrade before he could bring his vision to life. Visual effects studios told him what he wanted simply couldn't be done at the quality he demanded. So faced with a technological dead end, he did the unthinkable. He put his dream project on a shelf and decided to wait. But James Cameron isn't the type to just sit around and wait. He goes out and builds the future himself. While Avatar was on the back burner, Cameron basically turned the next decade into his own personal R&D department. He focused on making deep-sea documentaries like Ghosts of the Abyss, which turned out to be the perfect playground for a revolutionary new camera he was co-developing, the 3D fusion camera system. For decades, 3D in movies was mostly a gimmick. It was usually done in post-production, where 2D film was artificially manipulated to look 3D. The result was often clunky, gave you a headache, and looked less like an immersive world and more like a cardboard pop-up book. Cameron knew that for Pandora to feel real, the audience couldn't just watch it, they had to be in it. And for that, he needed to shoot in native 3D. Working with Vince Pace, he built a camera that was an engineering marvel. It used two high-definition camera lenses mounted together, perfectly mimicking how human eyes see the world. This system allowed him to shoot in 3D from day one, capturing two separate images that, when projected together, created a sense of depth that was miles ahead of anything audiences had ever experienced. This wasn't some cheap trick added later. It was woven into the film's very DNA. This commitment was the first major pillar of the Avatar revolution, signaling that 3D was no longer a gimmick, but a powerful tool for storytelling. By the mid-2000s, things were finally starting to click. Computers were faster and Cameron had his new camera. It was time to build Pandora. But first, he had to solve that biggest problem of all, how to make his aliens feel truly alive. This led to the next two giant leaps in filmmaking. First up, performance capture. The term motion capture wasn't new. It was famously used to bring Gollum to life in The Lord of the Rings. But Cameron wanted more than just body movements. He wanted the actor's soul. To get it, his team created a new system. Actors wore special caps with a tiny, lightweight camera boom that placed a high-def camera just inches from their face. This camera recorded every single muscle twitch, every eye dart, every subtle expression. The VFX wizards at Weta Digital then developed software that could map these facial movements onto the digital faces of the Na'vi with breathtaking accuracy. For the first time ever, 100% of an actor's performance, body, face, and pure emotion could be transferred to a CGI character. But this created a new challenge. The actors were performing on a stark, empty gray stage they called the volume. How could a director possibly frame shots or guide a performance when the world around them was literally a blank canvas? The answer was the second game-changing invention, the virtual camera, or simulcam. This device looked like a simple monitor with some sensors on it, but it was actually a window into Pandora. As Cameron moved it around the physical stage, he could see in real time the actors' Na'vi avatars moving around inside the fully rendered CGI jungle. If he wanted a high crane shot, he just lifted the virtual camera, and his view would soar over the digital landscape. If he wanted a close-up, he could walk right up to an actor and see their Na'vi character on his screen. This system perfectly bridged the gap between the physical and digital worlds, letting Cameron direct a massive CGI film with the same organic, gut instinct feel as a live-action movie. It was a fusion of augmented reality and filmmaking that gave the director total control over his virtual set. It's wild to think that these technologies, which were so groundbreaking, are now standard in many blockbusters today. From the huge battles in the MCU to the incredible creatures in other sci-fi worlds, so much of modern filmmaking stands on the shoulders of what Avatar accomplished. What was the one moment in Avatar that just blew your mind? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into movie history, do me a huge favor, hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and subscribe for more. It really helps the channel out. When Avatar finally hit theaters in December 2009, it wasn't just a movie premiere, it was an earthquake. The film absolutely smashed box office records, becoming the highest-grossing film of all time, a title it later reclaimed after a brief upset by Avengers: Endgame. Its total worldwide gross currently stands at an incredible $2.92 billion. But its impact went way beyond ticket sales. Avatar completely rewired what audiences expected from a movie. Suddenly, that immersive 3D and those hyperrealistic visuals weren't just cool features, they were the new gold standard. Studios scrambled to keep up, churning out a wave of 3D movies and pouring money into VFX-heavy blockbusters, all hoping to capture that Pandora effect. The film's success was proof that audiences were starving for spectacular, escapist visual experiences. The legacy didn't stop there. The long-awaited sequel, Avatar: The Way of Water, arrived in 2022, and once again Cameron pushed technology to its limits. This time, he pioneered a system to do performance capture underwater, a feat everyone thought was impossible because the tech simply didn't work in water. The crew had to build a massive 900,000-gallon tank and invent new techniques to pull it off, leading to another Oscar win for Best Visual Effects and a staggering global gross of over $2.32 billion. And the story continues, with more sequels on the horizon, including Avatar: Fire and Ash set for release on December 19, 2025. The franchise is still pushing innovation forward. The third film is set to introduce a volcanic Na'vi clan known as the Ash People, promising to expand the world and its conflicts in fiery new ways. When you look at the history of movies, there are clear before and after moments: the invention of sound, the arrival of color, and in the modern age there's the release of Avatar. People can debate the story all day, but its influence on the technology of filmmaking is undeniable. James Cameron's obsessive quest to get his vision on screen didn't just give us a film, it gave the entire industry a brand new toolbox. Performance capture, the virtual camera, and truly immersive 3D filmmaking redefined what was possible. He proved that if the technology you need doesn't exist, you go out and you invent it. Avatar wasn't just a movie about exploring a new world, it was a film that created one, changing the rules for blockbusters forever.